toured professionally as a player for 3 years following college. After that, he's concentrated on teaching. He currently is the head teaching professional at Oxmoor Country Club down in Louisville, Kentucky. So tonight we have Cory Kaufman.
First, I'd like to thank Jason and Mark for letting me have the opportunity to come out here and provide me with pizza and that type of stuff. And, I told my parents, I was like, I'm actually going up to talk, and they're like, people are going to listen, and I'm looking around, I'm like, wow, there's actually a lot of people here. So I actually took a picture on my phone and sent it to them, and I was like, really, there are people actually here to listen. Now, hopefully you guys are still here by the end. Okay, great. But basically, I don't know, has anybody here, heard of the concept of the one and the two playing golf swing? Is it, show of hands? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you guys can be as vocal as you want because, I haven't done a talk like this since college. It took me 6 years to get through college. You'd think I'd have plenty of practice, but still.
I got a couple hours tonight.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, my teachers, they should be proud. But, where have you guys heard about the one and the two playing? Anybody who has, where have you guys heard about it? Did you read magazines? Okay. Golf Channel. All right. Pretty much the person, does anybody know who kind of came up with that concept? Kind of actually putting them into two categories, the one plane swing and the two plane swing.
Jim Hardy.
Davis Love, he swings like it. Jim Hardy, good. He's kind of the man that kind of was the forefront for all this. Fortunately, in my teaching career, I was down at Hilton Head, South Carolina, where I taught under Krista Dunton, who is a top 100 instructor. Jim Hardy would come down all the time, along with Peter Jacobson. And so I had a lot of opportunity to talk to them, ask questions, and actually spent the last, probably about a month ago, I spent the week down there and got to work with Jim Hardy, one-on-one for a week, and also got to work with 6 of the top 20 instructors in the world. So I came back and I was like, wow, it was unbelievable. I mean, those guys have it. So what I want to talk about here is kind of explain the difference between the one and the two plane, kind of the concept, where it came from, what exactly it means, because every golf swing in the world is either one or a two plane golf swing. I don't care if you do stack and tilt, David Ledbetter, Mac O'Grady, anything else you can think of, it's all either one or two plane. And the concept is very simple as far as whether it is one or two plane. Okay, and that's what I'm going to kind of explain. After that, I'd like to go in and try to explain some ball flights, so when you guys are practicing, you can kind of see which way the ball is going, and so maybe you can kind of try to fix some things on your own. I know that can kind of be a scary thing, but try to understand what the club and the face relationship is with the ball and kind of the cause and effect of that. Does that make sense? If you start to get confused, raise your hand, ask me a question. I want to try to make it as simple as possible, not only for your guys' understanding, but for mine as well, because it doesn't take much to confuse me, I'll tell you that. So, I know I wore a party down there about questions and stuff. But basically, the one and the two plane golf swing, the swing consists of two motors. You got the body motor and you have the arm motor, okay? When the body and the arm motor are working at the same time, they work this direction. Okay, now if the arms are working on the same plane as the shoulders and the body, that's called a one plane swing. Okay, now if the arms work up and down as the shoulders and the body are turning, that's called a two plane swing. Okay, I mean that's pretty much it. Okay, when you look at other sports, when you look at this motion, what other sports are there out there where the arms are going around the body? Anybody? Tennis, baseball, hockey, throwing a discus. Okay, tennis, especially forehand and backhand. I don't know that much about tennis, so I'm not going to go and act like I do. But that is pretty much it. So when it's working around, okay, when the arms and the chest are working together, okay, that's one plane. When the arms are working independently on a separate plane than the shoulders and the body, that's a two plane. Make sense? Okay, that's it. That's my talk. So, Jason, you guys have it for now. So, but the easiest way to think of a two-plane golf swing, okay, is to think of a merry-go-round. That goes around this way, okay, and a Ferris wheel goes up and down. So these two, the merry-go-round works on a circular motion, but is level. The Ferris wheel works circular but is an up and down motion. Does that make sense? Yep. So that's the easiest way to think of the two. Now, if I wanted to make that same analogy into a one-plane swing, I would take the merry-go-round, tilt it up, okay, and I would take the Ferris wheel and tilt it down. Now they're still working, okay, but they're working on a similar plane. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, now, easy, right? All right, now you got to throw the club in there, okay? Now, when you're swinging with the club, okay, the club works on its own plane. All right, so if I've got a golf club, real quick here, I'll ask you this. If you're looking at these two golf swings based from what I just said, which one do you think is a two-plane, which one do you think is a one-plane? Two-plane, right. And this is Chris Baker. He's a really good player. He was one of my buddies. He just went through third stage. He's going to be European Tour and Nationwide next year. And he hits the ball better than anybody I have ever seen. He putts probably worse than anybody I've ever seen, but he hits it pretty good. But I was trying to get him up here tonight, but I wouldn't have told that joke. But actually, it's not a joke. He really is not a very good putter. But so this is the one-plane swing. This is the two-plane. And in reality, that is it. Like, you know, as far as shaft, that type of stuff, as far as club path, the only thing that dictates one-plane and two-plane is where the arm is in relationship to the shoulders. Okay? All right, make sense? Okay, now, we got to throw the club in there as well. Make sure I don't want to hit anybody. Okay, so now, if the club is moving this direction around us, okay, all right, the ball better be teed up about this high because now we're playing baseball, right? All right, so there's two things that affect the shaft plane, okay? All right, what golf is a side-on game, okay? We stand on the side of the ball. Does that make sense? Okay, so everything has to be around. The club has to go around us. Okay, other side-on games, we talk about baseball, tennis, throwing a discus, let's see, actually kind of a sidearm throw is kind of a sidearm sport. The other type of sport is an on-the-line sport, okay? Meaning we stand facing our target, and throwing the ball this way is an on-line sport. Throwing the ball this way is an on-line sport. Throwing darts is an online sport. Shooting pool is an online sport. Okay, golf is not an online sport, nor is baseball. Could you imagine hitting a 90-mile-per-hour fastball like this? You better have your jump on because that thing's coming. All right, so golf is the same way. So with that being said, the motion has to be circular. Does that make sense? Okay, now, in order, now that we've come to the conclusion that it has to be circular, okay, now I've got to somehow get the shaft from up here to down here. Does that make sense? The easiest way to think of that, or my bad, the way it's done is the shoulders have to move around, okay, and the arms and hands have to move somewhat on an up and down plane, okay? The easiest way to picture that is with the two-plane swing. I don't want to lose money by being, if my arms move up and down, okay, independently, all right, and my shoulders move around, okay, if I put the two together, now the club is swinging on its own plane. Does that make sense? Okay, now, there are different rules and regulations, or different, probably, rules and regulations, probably a bad word. There's different kind of guidelines for a two-plane swing, just like there is a one-plane swing. Okay, now, if I swing it one plane, all right, I've got to make an adjustment. I've got to bend over more. Okay, what that does is, that lowers my body, and now I can still swing the club around me, okay, but now I can get down to the ground. Does that make sense? Okay, with all this stuff being said, the one plane and the two plane, both are in the Hall of Fame. They're both great ways to hit the ball. Okay, but they are both very, very separate. They're different. Okay, now, this is where it gets confusing to your average player. Okay, because, like we said, every swing in the world is either one or two plane, right? Right? It's like I'm with my golf team. I can make sure nobody falls. Every swing in the world is either one or two plane. All right. So with that being said, there's different guidelines and different fundamentals for each. Okay. How many of you have heard of either one of these? When you read an article or watch the Golf Channel, stand upright or bend over. Okay. Pull with the left arm. Hit with your right arm. You want a narrow stance. You want a wide stance. You want to slide your hips. You want to turn your hips. You want to keep the club in front of you. You want to feel the club behind you. All right, anybody else can think of anything?